All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Guido Beckler. He is the CEO of Mainz Biomed. And Guido, it's good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you too. Doing great.
Awesome. Well, good to have you along. Excited to talk about some news you had out recently. We'll get to that in just a second, but maybe just give me a bit of background on Mainz Biomed.
The Mainz Biomed is based in Germany. We're focused on developing innovative products in molecular diagnostics. And our main focus right now is developing a really next generation colorectal cancer screening test to not only identify cancer at a very early stage, but more importantly, moving the needle and being able to identify patients that may have cancer in the future and prevent the patient from actually ever moving into the cancer space. So very excited to be here this morning and really sharing some more news of our company with you.
Yeah, tell me a bit about how the technology works. What would it entail?
So what we're doing is we're using similar to what I was done with COVID, but we're using two very small collection devices that the patient can collect some stool samples at home. So it's very simple. Simple stool samples at home. You then ship those samples in a little box we give you in any mailbox out of your house, and then the sample are shipped to the laboratories. The laboratories then perform the test and get your results back. The test is comprised of two different tests. One is actually measuring whether you have any blood in your stool, which is a fecal occult blood test that's been used very broadly all around the world. It's probably the broadly used test globally. Then we're combining this fecal occult blood test with RNA tests. So we basically collecting a small stool sample and then extract very specific RNA biomarkers out of the stool and then detect those using very established PCR technology. And PCR is also something that most viewers now know because of COVID. So I actually grew up with PCR. I was at the very early stages of PCR while I was working at Roche Diagnostics. So it's a very well-established, simple technology, but the core really is our RNA biomarkers that are very specific to actually identifying not just the colorectal cancer, but more importantly, the precancerous lesions. And I think that's important just to go a step further into this. So every cancer you have in colorectal really starts with a polyp, right? And so some of the polyps that can be identified today through colonoscopies can progress quickly into cancer. And it's really important as when you have screening methods that you not just detect the cancer, but that you detect those precancerous lesions, we call them advanced adenomas, that are actually at a high risk that they can actually move into cancer. So our tests or our RNA biomarkers in combination with the fecal occult blood test, we combine the results of those biomarkers then with a machine learning, very, very complex algorithm to be very specific about, yes, the patient has specific of those advanced adenomas. And what that means then, if our result is positive, then basically what the patient goes, he goes and does a colonoscopy, and the physician removes those precancerous lesions, which means the patient does not progress into cancer. And I think that's really important, right? We want to make sure it's not just about detecting cancer. Yes, it's great when you detect cancer stage 1 because your survival rate is much better. But if I ask
Yeah.
the audience and all of you, you would rather run a test that prevents you from ever having the result from a physician telling you you have cancer, you're going to go on chemo and whatever else. So the important part really is moving the needle from detecting cancer to prevention of cancer.
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, you had some news on that is that you're now seeking a breakthrough device designation through the FDA. Obviously, that is built upon some testing that you've done as well. I know that in researching your company, you've done a lot of testing on this and where you're at. So, what does this designation allow you to do quickly then?
So you're correct. We absolutely, Steve, you're correct. We have done a variety of studies that over the last 6 to 9 months we have published. We presented at the Digestive Disease Week, which is the largest conference in the world for digestive issues. We also presented data at the ASCO in Chicago this summer. So clearly we have done lots of research over many years, selecting those right, biomarkers and the algorithm itself. So now what we've done is we've had previous discussions with FDA. What we now filed for is is this breakthrough device designation. What does that mean? It means that if approved, and we should know this, relatively quick, then FDA allows us a quicker path to get through submission. So it's basically it's an alternative way of having communications very effectively with the agency, which is actually a wonderful tool because it allows you to ask specific questions should the agency get feedback. And FDA basically identifies selected technologies, that are really breakthrough, that are really unique, that can really make changes in people's lives. And so we're hopeful. Again, we don't know whether we're going to get it, but we believe we have phenomenal arguments. We got also very good recommendations from really world-renowned key opinion leaders that technology should really be supported, to get through the agency. But again, that's all I can say. We're excited about what we have presented, but I trust FDA and they know what they're doing. So.
Absolutely. Well, Guido, I know it's important technology. In fact, I'm at a fundraiser tomorrow for colorectal cancer, a big fundraiser, because the need is great and it's only growing as well as you pointed out in the studies that you've done as well. So good luck with everything. Hope it all works out, and we look forward to following your story as it continues to develop. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Yeah, enjoyed it very much. Guido Beckler, he's the CEO of Maynes Biomed.